God, bro.
Do y'all hear that? No? Y'all don't hear that? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very big possibility that you did not hear that, and that is what I'm here to talk to you about today. The importance of active listening. Active listening is simply more than just tuning into a conversation. It's actually hearing what a person has to say, understanding what that person has to say, and then converting that information. Right? And so, I've learned about this technique from one personal experience. It's just very much identifying the differences between just regular listening, background listening, etc. throughout my daily life, and then hearing the difference and seeing the difference between active listening. Now, active listening is an amazing process that helps you convert information way more efficiently than just background listening or any other type of listening, right? And so in the blog Very Well Mind, they state that this is like one of the first techniques of active listening is to be very, very, very present. And so that's what we're going to start with today. Let's look at active listening by looking at 3 steps that I've laid out here. One, you have to hear in active listening, right? You have to actually cut off all other streams of distractions. Maybe your peers talking, laughing, throwing objects at you, your phone, any of those types of instant gratification distractions that can take away your attention from what you're actively listening to in that moment, right? And so next, I want you to think about only listening to the speaker. Give them your entire and full present. As I mentioned earlier, you have to be present. Give them your entire attention. Now, whenever you're actively hearing, make sure you're converting that information for my step 2. In step 2, I want you to actually convert the information. And my number one analogy that I go to with this is whenever you're listening to music, correct? You are relating to a song, you're like, oh, that really hits home. That's because you're actively hearing and converting that information into your own understanding. You can hear it, but now you understand it on a personal and deeper level, right? Now, we all have those times we're in the car, we're just sitting back jamming. It's like, whoa, I really hear what Moneybagg Yo is saying on my baby mama, And it's like, it's even putting you into that scape whenever you're actively listening. Now, if you're just background listening, it's just a cool beat. And that is one of the key differences that I love to identify between the two. Next, you really have to understand. After you have heard that information, was fully present during that information, now you've converted that information, I want you to fully understand that information. Understanding, now this may be, a daunting task, and it is, but truly understanding what was said is now taking that information, downloading the information, and being able to now repeat it back to anybody in the same context that it was presented to you. Now, what does this look like? Now you're listening to your professor speak on, how to do variables in math class, right? So now hearing the information, you're like, oh, I understand how to do variables. Now converting the information, I understand personally how to do those variables. I know how to do it in my own math way of understanding. Now understanding that information is now being able to reciprocate the information on the exact same level, right? And so understanding the importance of active listening is the next big key step that I really want you to grasp here, because I've understood by, as I mentioned earlier, the previous experiences that I've had, correlating between the two, but there are 2 big factors in the impact of active listening. 1, your biggest factor is going to be in your workplace, and your 2, and your biggest factor is going to be and outside the workspace, etc. college, right? And I'll elaborate on those. But number one is the workplace. In order to be an efficient worker within the workplace, no matter what workplace that you're involved in, you may be a grocer at Walmart, you may be a financier on Wall Street, or you may be a construction worker. You need to understand why you need to be able to actively listen, and because whenever you actively process the information on a deeper level besides regular listening, you're now able to perform better within the workplace, understand the tasks that you're assigned to do, and then from that point on, you're able to expand and go from there. Now, understanding the importance of active listening within the college scape and within the workplace are the same within itself, but slightly different. I want to start with your college. Understanding what your professor has to say is very important, and it's different from the workplace, because in the workplace, you were trained for your job in that aspect, and you just understand the motions that you need to go to in order to achieve the certain goal that you're after. But within the academic scape, you're kind of turning a blind eye. Your teacher is there as your instructor, as your boat guide, in order to guide you. So one, you have to be able to actively listen to what they're saying in order to understand the information. Like I mentioned earlier, those 3 steps: hear the information, convert the information, and understand the information, right? Because once you understand the information, have it downloaded from your teacher, your professor, etc., no matter what grade you're in, the importance of active listening is now that you're stepping away from the immaturity of regular listening and moving on to the maturity of active listening by actually understanding what your professor is saying to the deepest level of content, be able to reciprocate the information like I explained earlier. Now, outside of the workplace, how does this look? Now, active listening within relationships is very important, especially with that. Your mother. You don't listen to what your mother says exactly. You're like, yeah, mom, I hear you. You really don't. That's the difference between active listening and regular listening. You need to perform the tasks that your, mom, spouse, etc. want you to perform specifically. And so, through that, today I have helped you understand the importance of active listening, and when combined together with other rigorous skills learned throughout your life, it can have a total impact. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Bro, y'all let this nigga talk for 8 fucking minutes.
I was telling him, I was giving him the hands.